One interpreter has been fighting a 5-year-long battle, pleading with the federal government to reconsider his rejected visa, declaring his life is now in danger.
This is what I happened to me a few days ago at morning time from insurgent in Afghanistan, Kandahar. So my leg is broken 3 places.
An interpreter we will refer to as Hassan, for fear of retribution by the Taliban, remains in Afghanistan. Hassan claims he has been attacked by the rebel group, leaving him with broken bones and unable to work. Working with Australian forces, Hassan was given the highest level of security clearance permitted for translators, allowing him to live on base alongside soldiers. Hassan's service made him eligible to apply for a protection visa under the federal government's program for translators, who are deemed to be at risk. More than 900 have been granted to Iraqi and Afghani since the program's inception in 2013. A high-ranking army officer who knows Hassan from his time serving in the same operating base has already assisted 2 other interpreters to be successfully resettled.
There was no way I wasn't going to let these guys have the best chance of getting to Australia that I could possibly give them. And, it took one of them, near on 2 years to get here. And every day in that 2 years, I was absolutely worried sick about his safety because I knew he'd finished with his employment, he'd lost his income, and I don't know how he survives in a country, in a place like that, where there's that level of threat. The Taliban wanted them dead, and there was people that were willing to pay, a price for the head of someone who'd supported the coalition.
Despite Hassan receiving 9 references of recommendations from Australian and US military officers for his many years of service to coalition forces, it would be a routine counterintelligence interview that would undo his hopes of resettlement in Australia. A US contractor conducted the routine interview in 2014, finding indicators of deception and a possible association with the Taliban. The results of this interview were used as the basis for a refusal. A later interview in Islamabad by Australian officials was also not in favour of Hassan, citing that he was stubborn and unwilling to accept an interpreter to assist him with questions he did not clearly understand. This led to Hassan's failure of the character test. Retired Army Captain Jason Skanes was the last soldier to work alongside Hassan and is on a personal campaign to have his visa application reviewed.
Essentially, anybody in Kandahar, in Afghanistan, who's a male and is Pashtun would have a possible association with insurgent groups. That's where the insurgency started. So, I've served my country for over 19 years, and I understand full well the national interests and the importance of national security, and I'm all for robust security vetting processes for people wanting to immigrate to Australia. I absolutely believe that we need that to ensure the safety and security of all Australians.
Many Australians would see that having a possible association with the Taliban to be quite a serious security threat. What is your response to that?
Absolutely, I can see the concerns that people may have over that over those comments. But again, it's it is a complex environment and a complex issue. Is the possible association with insurgent groups, and that's what I've asked the Minister's Department to sit down and provide clarity over that issue.
The Afghanistan war veteran has spent more than $25,000 trying to help Hassan have his initial rejection reviewed. Mr. Skanes says he'll continue to fight for Hassan until Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton agrees to meet with him. 730 gained exclusive access to a close-knit community of Afghani interpreters who have resettled in New South Wales' Hunter region. Abdul, who we'll refer to by first name only out of fear for his family's safety, considers his army colleagues as family, and Australia is now his new home. But he's deeply concerned for the welfare of his childhood friend and colleague, Hassan.
From one way, I am proud I used to work for the Australian Defence, for the Defence Forces and in Tiberi, But the other way, I'm very much regretful that my family is left back home and they're just suffering because of my employment. Hassan is really suffering. He has really lost his hopes and stuff like that. Because of his visa entitlement, as his visa is not granted. So he was facing too much problems. I cannot even name it. How stressful and how hard the situation was for him.
A spokesperson for Mr. Dutton said the latest review of Hassan's case found no new information that would lead to a review of his visa refusal. Kate Banville reporting for ABC.